What's up, man?
Hey, man, how's it going?
Good. Minute out of your schedule to come out here and sit on the deck with me, right?
Well, dude, where's the better place to podcast than here,
Absolutely.
right?
Well, we tried this, a week ago?
A week ago, yeah, and it was all messed up, technical stuff going on. But
on my end. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm new to this, obviously, right? So this
Yeah.
is, number 9 or 10 for me. So learning you've been doing this a long. How long have you been doing a podcast?
Man, this February was our 7th anniversary.
That's wild.
7 years. I don't know, over 500 episodes.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's
Pretty
with
cool.
Melanie. You guys have always
Yeah.
done it together? You
Mhm.
started it out together and
Started together, still new. Yeah. Sometimes we have solo shows, somebody wants to, talk about something specific. But yeah, mostly just
Like this?
her and I.
right?
Yeah, like
Solo.
this. Yeah, I mean, we have guests too,
Okay,
and stuff like
okay.
that. Yeah, but mostly just her.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, obviously, M42 Adventures, kind of our deal, and it's not just. I think everybody kind of thinks that it's just hunting.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. It's also going to be other adventures, mountain biking, surfing, anything outdoors kind of stuff. But also for me, what draws me to you even more than your adventurous spirit is your entrepreneurial spirit. That's
Yeah.
an adventure in itself.
Yeah,
That's.
a lot of ups and downs.
I think a lot of people who, are going to be listening and following me like that about me. And I like to find like-minded people who also, do that. So kind of tell me a little bit about, I want to, like I said, we're in Hawaii. We're on a lanai, right? Deck.
Yeah,
I Googled that yesterday.
it's not just
yeah.
It's a thing.
And we're out here bow hunting,
Mhm.
axis deer, which you're brand new to.
Yeah,
And so we'll get into that, but yeah, I want to kind of run back through, who you are, what got you into because you have a psychology
yeah. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. Yeah,
and
been doing that for.
you had a
15 years.
job, you had a job and then kind of said, hey, I'm going to go out on my own, and
Yeah, yeah. I've done that twice.
that's wild.
Actually. So
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about that. Like,
yeah. So like you're talking about like, entrepreneur spirit. And I just remember like growing up, first job, 14 years old, working at a gas station, pumping gas, me and my buddy had a lawn care business. We had
from the South, right? You're from the South.
Yeah, from the South. I'm from South Carolina. Had a lawn care business, like I said, a window washing business. I was always just I had my own, furniture company
Wow.
at one point, in college. And just like, I always loved doing my own thing and going out and making my own
I
money.
love that.
It's like such a
Being
rush.
your own
It's like,
boss.
being your own boss, right? And stuff like that. And so like, and I was after college, so did psychology stuff. And then after college, and now that I think of it, this is basically a startup too. Me and my buddies were in bands, right? So we graduated college, undergrad, and we're like, all right, just 5 dudes from South Carolina, small town. We're like, where we want to go? And we picked Seattle, because like grunge and stuff is like, oh man, that's the music
That's the
capital,
scene, yeah.
And so, boom, saved up some money. We actually left South Carolina on 9/11, 2001.
Wow.
Right, like the day that all the stuff
Wow.
happened. So we're, on this big life journey, and all this stuff went sideways. Are we going to turn around? Are we going to go back home? We're like, nope, we're going to go. And so we made it to Seattle, and it's a band. We had zero money, just practice our butts off all the time, out there hustling, getting shows, getting paid $10, making zero money. But eventually, we got a record deal and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
we got signed and
Wow.
everything, and toured the U.S. several times and all that stuff. And then I was like, I'm kind of not feeling this anymore. I just knew that I had to go do something else, right? So then I quit the band and went to graduate school to get my licensed marriage and family therapist. Right?
I actually remember being out here last year, and we brought a gentleman named Colin,
Oh yeah,
and he walks up to me and he's like, bro, I know you. And
Yeah.
I'm like, how do you know? And he's like, you're in, what was the band?
Emory.
Yeah. And he's like, dude, he went and actually, listen, he went to your concert.
Yeah,
And I'm like, dude, that's
That's
rad.
crazy.
That
Yeah,
was cool.
yeah. it was crazy.
He
The
loves your
funny thing-
music.
Yeah, but after I quit the band, they're still going
Okay.
actually, which is nuts. But they like toured Australia a couple times. They've been to
Wow.
Europe like a lot of
Wow.
times, Mexico,
doing it.
South America. Yeah, so I didn't get to do the traveling stuff.
I remember yours. I vaguely remember your story. It's kind of a crazy story about something. The van broke down and you're like, I'm done, right? Or something like that.
Yeah. So our van broke down somewhere in Montana. I don't know. And I was just thinking, I'm like, well, okay, I'm going to like try to go get help, And I was just like, what am I doing? I'm on the side of the road with like
How old are you at this
dudes.
time?
I was maybe 24, 25 or
So you're
something.
kind of that moment where you're like, what's next?
Yeah, I'm like, what am I doing, dude? You know, it's like
Your aha moment.
I was dating my now wife then, you know,
Melanie then.
and like, you know, on the road all the time. And we just argued all the time. I was like, what the F? What am I doing?
Right.
You know,
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
thing. So just walking down like I-90 or something like that in Montana. And I'm like,
I'm done.
forget it, you know. So like we fixed the van. I was like, dudes,
I'm out.
I'm out. I'll
What'd you
finish
do?
this
You play
tour.
guitar or drums?
Played drums.
Oh, that's
Played
right.
drums,
That's
yeah.
awesome. Cool.
Yeah, and I was just out, you know. So, but that getting into that, it's like, whoa, that's a real startup. You know, you have 5 business partners.
Geez.
You got to make money.
Yeah.
And like we were
Everybody
successful.
thinks that it's just going to be fun, and I'm sure there's fun elements, but it's also it's work. You know, if you're going to be successful. I mean, I can't imagine. I just watched the special on Bon Jovi. Have you seen that out? I think it came out on Hulu or something. And you know, I'm not a huge Bon Jovi fan, but
Yeah.
I love seeing the intricacies of, you know, and they would dive into personalities and, you know, and all these different things. And it sounds more difficult than a business, you know, because like you said, you have these not only 5 partners, but they're usually some pretty wild personalities. They're
and
eccentric.
you're with them 24/7,
That's true. Good point.
right?
Good
like you're in
point.
the van or the tour bus and like
Close quarters.
quarters,
Yeah.
like, bro, well, I'm done, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then you got the personalities and stuff. It was cool because we all got along pretty good, but it was a legit
That's
business,
rad.
you know. It's like, okay, we finally started making money,
Yeah.
which was good, but still that money wasn't worth the, you know, being gone all the time. So I was like, all right, I got to go to grad school, and been doing that forever.
So was Melanie in, because you're in Seattle now, was she in Seattle, and that's how you kind of went there?
Yeah, I met her at a Starbucks.
Oh, cool.
yeah, she worked there, you know, and these band dudes come in and we're like, oh, that chick.
Yeah.
And so
That's cool.
started hanging out with her and stuff. And then worked doing therapy. I had my own private practice, you know, which that's entrepreneur stuff. Private practice, then agency work. So I was at this place for 10 years, and you know, the podcast kept on growing, and Melanie and I started doing coaching, getting coaching clients, high performance marriage coaching. So that was growing, and I left that. And then, so I quit my full-time job just twice. Actually, my last day, I'll get into that story. So quit that, did full-time coaching for a while. Some things had to shift around. I was like, okay, I want something more solid. Went back to another agency, and then just my last day again was, I think, actually it was last Friday. And then boom.
Right out here.
Yeah, last day Friday, Hawaii Saturday.
So you quit that job and you're going back into full-time entrepreneurship.
Yeah, back into full-time.
See, and I think, you know, you know me, I've coached a little bit, and you know, I think that people get hung up on it has to be this way or that way, and I always encourage people, you know, they're like, I talk to some people that I'm coaching, and they're like, yeah, dude, I just quit this job and I went all in, you know, and I'm like, whoa,
slow it down.
you know, maybe if you're 19, you know, and nothing to lose, but man, if you got a wife or a kid or 2 kids, or it's like, dude, it's fine to, you know, get a good grip on this vine before you let go of this vine. And I think that's what your mentality was, you know, and that's why you went back into it. That's the thing with entrepreneurship. It doesn't always just work out and it's game over.
Yeah.
And I think people a lot of times with pride are like, dude, I can't go back to corporate or to the, you know, getting a job. And it's like, no, you do what you have to do.
And that's exactly.
And it doesn't have, this one doesn't have to be forever, and that one doesn't have to be forever. You went back, you were 10 years. How long did you go back for? So you quit, then what were the timelines?
Did full-time stuff, entrepreneur stuff. Well, actually, we never quit being an entrepreneur. You know, we've always had these other things going on.
The corporate, how long did you quit that?
Let's see. For a little over 2 years, it was over COVID, but you know, all our coaching is online anyway, so that was fine. And then went back for about another year and a half, and you know, it's still, you know, I'm still good at it, stuff like that, but it's not where I want to be. You know, it's like I want to do stuff.
So
like
you went
this,
back there and you said, hey, I got to do this for now, whatever circumstances are. I need to come back here, you know, and then you, like you said, you keep your side hustle, you keep your other thing going, and then you ran into an opportunity, right, in Florida.
Yeah.
And the stars aligned, and that's what I think people don't realize is, you know, most of the time on the half a dozen businesses I've started, it never plans out the way, you know, and I think when people get rigid or think this is how it has to be, then that's when it starts to get scary, you know. But if you can adapt, and you know, there's been times that, you know, for me, I lost everything in the recession. I went back and got a job.
Yeah.
and, you know, I had to feed my family.
You did what you
I
had to
do
do,
what I
right?
have to do either
Right.
way, you know, and so, yeah, you know, those people who like burn the ships and so to speak, right? It's like,
Yeah.
if that works for you, good for you, if that's your personality, but
Mm.
I'm not going to burn the damn ship. I may need to get back on that boat at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. Because like we have 3 kids,
Right.
and it's like sometimes there's too much at
Right.
stake, and like I like the burn the ships mentality,
And that's,
because
I
like
get the point where it's like, I'm
yeah,
all in.
yeah, but that doesn't mean like burn bridges,
Right.
you're flipping everybody off like I'm out of here. It's
Absolutely.
like, okay, I'm present, I'm all
Committed.
in. It's like Benjamin Hardy, that author, he has a book, what is it? I think 10x is greater than 2x.
Mm.
It's like, oh, when you like commit 100%, then like your whole brain goes to that, and it's like 100% is easier than 80%.
Yeah, yeah.
Because like a 1 foot in, 1
Yeah,
foot
you're
out kind of thing.
distracted.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But then like being able to adapt to the situation, I mean, that's just
I think
smart
so.
and wise,
think
in my
so.
opinion.
Yeah.
It's like think about hunting.
Right.
We've been out here for a week.
Mhm.
If you got new guys coming in thinking it's going to be this, and this, and this, it's like, well, you're gonna be in for a huge surprise,
Absolutely.
because it's never like
Never.
that. So you got to go with the
Yeah,
flow, and
learn,
adapt,
and
and
change.
go here. Your wind is bad. Okay, you move.
Yep.
It starts raining. All right, you got to set up another
Yep.
blind or
Right.
whatnot.
So, okay, so you went back to coaching and then did that for a year and a half, and that's when you
No, we did coaching.
Oh, never
I went
stopped.
back. I
Never
went back to
stopped. Went back
corporate.
to corporate.
Yeah. Went back to
and
corporate.
then started doing, and then what made you decide to just go?
You want to know the reason? Okay, so went back to corporate, and I was used to being like, hey, have this opportunity. I'm not worried about vacation hours. I'm not worried about sick time or all that stuff. And I got back into that, I'm like,
Interesting.
gross. Like I hate
Yeah.
I hated it, like having to ask someone else to do
Mhm.
something. I'm like, nah, this isn't, and it's not a pride thing. Oh, I'm too good to do. It's like, no, this isn't how I want to live.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Because I want to say yes to as many opportunities as I can, right? So like that was a huge part of it. Like, I want to be able to go when I want to.
And we were talking about that on the inside here, before we came out here, just the guys chatting, and we talked about it. Several people who would love to be out here on this trip, and they're like, I get 7 vacation days a year, and I just couldn't do it, and that's where we are alike. I know there's a lot of cons with running your own business, and it's very stressful, but the pros of that are huge. Freedom.
It outweighs it for me. I mean, there's comfort in security for sure. Like, oh, 401k or sick time or this or that. Okay, that's great, but
they tell you when you can go.
Exactly.
Yeah, or vacation.
So it's
you
like,
said you're going to Cabo in a couple weeks. I mean, you're living this great life. You're able to move. You're able to just kind of make your decisions, right?
Yeah. And again, it's not a pride or ego thing. It's just the oh, you know what? I like time flexibility more than a 401k security kind of thing. Yeah, choices. Right. And that's options, time freedom, money freedom, and just the freedom to be able to do like what you want is so important. And most of us don't grow up that way. It's like, I remember my dad at one point told my brother, he's like, hey, what did he say? He said, don't create opportunities. Just go to the opportunities that like people are maybe giving you. I'm like,
total different mindset.
No, I gotta make my own opportunities, and some people maybe go, oh, that's irresponsible, or this or that, or not.
Lots of people, we talked about it last night, I think at dinner, where we were saying, I says, I hate living in a way that is the same, like Groundhog Day. I just, that, like, I me, I've been traveling for 7 years and just got home in December, and I'm adjusting to, like, going to the gym and going to get groceries at the same store,
having that same routine,
filling up gas at the same gas station. And for me, it's been hard because it's like a dream. It's like I'm, and our buddy here, Kip, says, oh, that's what I live for. I love that consistency, gym, work, and I don't, that's like you said, it's not pride either way. It's just, that's what he wants. And that's what's beautiful. There's people who love to golf. There's people who love to hunt. There's people who, that's what makes life beautiful is there's all these different choices. But I think what people really need to sit down and do is think, what do I want? I think that's like you said with the generational thing. I think we're just now, podcasts and all these self-help books are pretty new.
Yeah.
You know more than me.
Fairly new. Yeah.
I mean, there's some back in the day, but now everybody's writing one, right?
Everybody's writing one.
Everybody's got a podcast, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I talked to my grandma, she's 98 and she's like, so what do you do? What are you doing?
You don't make something? Like, you're not pouring concrete?
Yeah. Like
you don't build a house?
Yeah. It's like, she's like, be careful.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good. Yeah. Like things are cool. But that's just that generation kind of thing, and it's like, I've had a taste of both worlds, it's like, dude, I choose this one. That's what's so cool, like getting to know you over these last, 2.5 years or so. It's like, it's cool to see you, like, you go for it. You're like full send entrepreneur stuff. Like I remember that video I saw you jumping in a lake for a turtle. Dude, it's crazy, But it's just like, what else are you gonna do?
I've always lived, and anybody can vouch for this, where it's like, this is my life. I've just thankfully, gratefully, I don't know where that came from or how that happened, but I've just never been the guy that, I'm kind of one of the opposite, where if somebody says you can't, like, I'll show you,
show you. Yeah.
And I wish more people, not necessarily that you got to be crazy and go do this or that, but just really, it's like, some people want to just chill and relax and, have that security of a job. Yeah. But as long as you think about it and you make the decision, then that's what's important.
Yeah. Oh, I choose to do a 40-hour
or
week
somebody else made
your
decision for you. That's where I think you can run into trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously so many people do.
Most.
Yeah. Cause a lot of dudes will, hear this podcast or see the video or like, oh man, that's so cool. It must be nice. And I had a coach tell me a while back, cause this was before we kind of made the big leap to go full time into entrepreneur stuff, as a couple. And he was like, Seth, if you don't do it, like, I think at the time I was like, I don't know, 41 or something like that. If you don't do it, some other 41-year-old married dude with kids is going to do it.
That's awesome.
And I was
that's
like,
a good point.
Well, wait a minute. Hell no, then. Why not? Why not me?
Absolutely.
Right? If you can do it, if they can do it.
Absolutely.
And he just looked at me square in the eyes like,
go.
You got a reason?
Go.
I'm like, no, I don't. And that was a
good statement. I like that because like, like we have a buddy here. I see him wandering around in there, big old burly guy, Ben. And there he is, and he's making his living with, sheds, right?
Yeah.
An influencer. And I love that, it's like, that's something that I would never have thought's possible. He's a pioneer in that, where it's like, but, that's what people are envious of. And you hear that a lot. We had a buddy out here last year that's Eric Chesser, couldn't make it this year, who does Hushin'.
Yeah.
And I have lots of buddies like, oh, what must be great, must be awesome,
must be nice.
And it's like, well, they did it. They made the decisions. They made, like you said, the choices.
The choice, yeah.
And he figured out how to monetize it and how to, and it's like, that's what's beautiful. Anybody can come out here and sit on this deck, and that's where we're going to get into here in a minute. But you sitting here, you're not a hunter. You didn't grow up, I guess you were a hunter. You're not a bow hunter.
I was a rifle hunter.
You're not a bow hunter. And, I hear a lot of people, I invited a couple people out here back in the day, and I'm like, hey, you should come out. They're like, I'd never bow hunted. I can't. And I'm like, what a stupid comment.
Yeah.
You just can't because you've never done it. It's like, well.
So when do you try new stuff?
And that's where I think that, like you said, where you're, I appreciate what you do, where it's like, I'm going to go outside my comfort zone, and I think a lot of people are embarrassed or nervous about being embarrassed.
Right.
It's like, you've been out here 2 years. You haven't got a deer yet, right? We know that. You're the only one in the group who hasn't got a deer.
Yeah.
Are we teasing you? Are we making you feel bad? It's like we might tease you if you hit like a sprinkler line or something, right?
That would never happen.
No. But, it's like, we love that you're out here. We talk behind your back and we're like, dude, we want him to get one. What a badass that he shows up. And, it's like, we admire you. Literally, like we talk and we're like, dude, what a stud. He's new to it and he doesn't give up. And that's what, to me, to come out here and, you hear a lot where a guy shows up and hasn't hunted a lot and kills something. And it's like, oh, this is easy. And it's not.
No, especially so after,
let's go back. Let's go back.
So going back,
Yeah.
like been a rifle hunter for a long time, deer, elk, all that
Okay.
stuff. Out in Washington, hunting's great.
Mhm.
And you know, my wife, Melanie, of the podcast, was friends with Gina,
Yeah.
your
Mhm.
wife, right? And they got to talking, and Gina was like, "Wow, why don't you, you know, you had an open spot."
Yeah,
or
we had
something."
last year.
You know,
Last year we had an
yeah,
open
and-
spot, and we were like, and that's the thing is, we're very, very protective of this hunt. We are.
Yeah.
You know, this
Yeah.
is a friend's hunt.
Yeah.
We're not monetizing it right. We're gonna look at doing for M42 next year, maybe doing some hunts here, and expanding that into a business. But this is a very, you know, close knit group of people that we want to spend a week or two with.
Yeah, and just hang out.
And so we were running through it, and Gina came to me and she says, "Hey, you know, Seth."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "I don't know him," and she's like, "He just is a good dude." She just vouched for you. She just says, "She was on your podcast or you were on hers. I don't know which."
I think we traded.
And she's like, "He's just good." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay." And I talked to Ryan. I called Ryan. I'm like, "What do you?" He's like, "Oh, Seth, dude, stud."
Yeah. Yeah, we had Ryan on a couple times too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that was it. And so I reached out to you, and you're like, "Really? I don't have a bow, right? You didn't."
No, I didn't have
That's
anything. You know,
wild.
you just knew, like, okay, some dude my wife knows.
That's
Okay,
crazy.
Ryan
That's
kind of knows him.
crazy.
And
I didn't realize you hadn't. I thought you had. Gina just says, "Hey, he's a hunter."
Mhm.
I didn't know you hadn't.
Oh, so you thought I was already a bow?
Yeah, until you had
Yeah.
come out and you're like, I remember you saying, "I just got my bow. I've been shooting in my backyard,
Yeah.
doing the reps." And so
Well, I didn't buy a bow until after you
That's what I
called.
mean.
Like I
Yeah,
talked
yeah.
to Melanie, she was like, "Yeah, go
That's
for it.
wild.
It's cool, you know, hang out with other dudes." I'm like, "All right,
see, and
let's
I
go."
love that because I get
Yeah.
a lot of, not a lot, but you know, my little handful of followers, you know, they reach out and listening, and they're like, "Dude, I want to get into bow hunting, and how do I do
Yeah.
it?" And I'm like, how
Yeah.
do they do it, Seth? What?
So
You're in Seattle. You're up in a blue state.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's some hunting around,
Yeah.
but you
On the east side, yeah, tons of hunters, but you know, I'm outside
not-
of Seattle,
yeah.
you know. So it's like, you know, hunting's not a big thing in Seattle,
Right.
but you know, I'm from the
Right.
south, so it kind of brought it with me. And I was like, okay, yeah, archery. Never I don't think I'd ever even shot a compound
that's
bow.
wild.
Like all the cams and
That's
stuff like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, I know
I
zero
love that.
zero
Love that.
about this, but went, you know, got
So
a-
what'd you do? You looked up a store? You just Googled archery store
Yeah,
near me,
I
which is what I
Googled-
tell people. Like, there's
Yeah.
got to be an archery store somewhere.
Okay, so listen to this. This is a crazy story. So it was, I think, so 2023 was the first year I came, right? So I have another men's group, a men's mastermind, right? And I organized a snowboard trip
Okay.
in Brighton.
Oh, really?
Right?
Utah.
It was awesome. Like it just totally dumped that year. So cool. And on the flight down there, like I got upgraded to first class. I'm like, okay, sweet. On the flight down there, and
This was after I called you.
This is after.
You knew you were
So
coming.
like knew
Okay,
I was
okay.
coming. I hadn't bought the bow. This was in January. Yeah, it was in January. And come out there. I sit next to an archery store owner.
No way.
I promise
That's
you. And
rad.
we talked the whole flight from Seattle down to Salt Lake. Just I talked his ear off, asked
yeah,
all these questions. He was like,
And did he
"Oh,
say?
yeah."
Did he say, "Hey, you know, shut up, dude. I'm not going to help you into this world"? Like,
No,
they
no.
never do.
No, of course, no.
They're like,
you know,
dude, they're excited. Like you
Yeah.
said, coaches, mentors, all these people that are above you. 99 out of 100 times want to lift you up to them.
right.
So he
right.
took you all in.
Yeah, so he
That's
took me.
right.
I
That
was
gives me
asking
cultures,
questions.
dude.
I
That's
know
rough.
it was.
That's wild.
I called Melanie like when I got to Salt Lake. I was like, "You're not gonna
That's
believe this."
weird.
And the store was like 25 minutes from our house.
No
right?
way.
So, yeah, he said he go in, tell him you talked to
So
me.
he wasn't
I'll
even in
hook you up."
Utah. He was he had his store in Washington.
Yeah, so he was leaving Seattle,
Yeah.
which a lot of people
Right.
are.
That is
moving to
wild.
Montana.
That is
So
wild.
he'd fly down to Salt Lake and drive up to Montana.
What are the chances?
I know, so crazy. And like, so ask him a bunch of questions, you know, talk to him literally the entire flight, 2.5
Yeah.
hours. You know, well, what do you do this? And what do you recommend?
Wow.
And this and this. He's like, go in, you know, they'll get you fitted, all set up. I'm like, sweet. So when I got back from the snowboard trip, went there, got fitted, you know, tuned up and all that stuff. You know, spent about, like, you know, I didn't spend a ton.
Couple
you
grand,
know.
right? Probably.
Yeah, a couple
Yeah.
grand, you know, just on a, you know.
What'd you get? What bow?
I got a Elite Basin. Elite Basin. I think Elite is a newer
Yeah, I haven't
brand,
heard of that.
You know? Yeah. But
It's a
his
nice
whole
bow. I've
store.
seen your bow. It's beautiful.
Yeah, his whole store carried Elite. and
Okay.
stuff. And I like it so
Yeah.
far. And so, you know, just got it and bought some targets, put them in the backyard. We've got some acreage out there.
Mhm.
And my goal was like, okay, I'm going to shoot at least 12 arrows 5 days a week, you know, to tune in. Obviously, it hasn't helped me yet, but I mean, access deer is hard.
It's all hard. It's all hard.
But just put in the reps and was like, hey, all right, let's say yes. And I got the bow, and came out here that June and just
See, that's amazing. That's what people need to do. It's like if you want to do something, and that's one of the things I've been talking about the last couple episodes of my podcast is a lot of people read the books,
right?
Go to the seminars, get the coach, right? We're all about consuming this information. Then you don't do. It's like your marriage is bad, right? You're a marriage counselor.
Yeah.
You can read all the books you want, but until you go to your wife and say, I'm sorry, or I love you, or, wash the dishes, or whatever you need to do to make that relationship better, nothing's going to change. The book isn't.
Nothing changes until nothing changes.
Right. Yeah.
Nothing changes if nothing changes, right? And then we always talk about you have to put yourself in those rooms, whatever it is. Yep. If you're trying to start a business, okay, go talk to the local chamber of commerce, go to the meetings, go to whatever it is you want to do. You got to put yourself in the places to meet the people. And ended up like Eric Chesser, who, if guys are fans of Eric Chesser, he's huge in the hunting world. And people would give their right hand to be like, oh, I went on
100%. He's out here in Molokai signing autographs. Remember that day that guy pulled up? He's like, like Chesser. And I'm like, crazy. Who are you? And he's like, kind of a big deal. No, he didn't.
Yeah, I mean, super cool dude. But like, he was like, hey man, come on, let's go, me and you. And like, I followed him around, and learned some stuff. But it all goes back to you got to say yes. I can't, I don't know. I'm not an archer.
And
Molokai. I don't know these dudes.
We were talking about it last night, because we all want you to get one, right? We want you to succeed on, and I always tell everybody to come to Molokai and hunt for a week and not get a deer is a total success. The deer is the little cherry on the top of the sundae. There's so many layers.
Yeah.
These conversations, hanging out, laughing. We've had all these jokes, going to the beach, improving your skill set.
Yeah.
The kill is just a little part. But obviously we'd love for you to get one and have that opportunity, And that's where I think people don't realize is it's this brotherhood and we're rooting for these people. I think people think that you're going to get out here and we're going to tease you or make you feel like an idiot. And I'm sure you're kind of walking around like, and that's what we were saying last night. We're like, dude, good for him to just keep going.
Yeah.
That's what I respect that more than if you would have killed one the first day and just been like, dude, this is easy.
Yeah.
I respect that it's been a couple years now. Yeah. And that you keep fighting the fight. You
keep fighting. Like I was thinking, I'm like, oh man, I didn't get a deer. Like and I might started getting in my head,
100%.
I'm like, hold up, Seth. Let's look at all the reasons instead of it. And so I could be like, oh, blah, I'm not going to come back next year. And, getting all dumb, because we do that,
absolutely.
All this negative talk. And I'm like, hold up. We're gonna stop those thoughts. Think about what you need to do to improve to increase your chances. I mean, access deer hunting is hard in the first place. I mean, with archery, right? And I'm like, oh, dude, no, you're nothing. It's not any of the negative stuff you're thinking. It's now if I hadn't practiced at home, it was just like willy nilly all over.
Yeah, then you don't deserve a deer.
Yeah. But like right now, I'm like, oh, dude,
connect the dots,
and it'll connect. Down.
Yep.
Slow down. Take inventory of what you're doing. All this stuff, and that's all about being intentional. And then, what comes from that? Growth.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Like, okay.
Did you learn more? I tell people the week out here, my dad's coming out. You guys leave tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And then my family trip starts, right? So I'm here for another week with family. And he's hunted his whole entire life with a bow, his whole life. And he didn't get a deer the first 2 years. And, he gets more frustrated. So I was actually a snowboard instructor up in Park City.
Oh, nice.
And I tell everybody the story of like when I first started snowboarding, I sucked, and I'm out there like wrecking and just couldn't do it. And I'm like, this is frustrating. I had a buddy come out who was struggling a little bit and he was getting pissed. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like the golfer who thinks he's good and is good and then struggles and they break their club. Yeah. I'm not breaking my club because I don't expect to be good. Kendall was getting so frustrated because he's like, I am good at this. And then he went through it and he's like, these are not normal animals.
Right.
This is not normal country. This is a very difficult bow hunt. You get a lot of, the only reason we kill is because there's so many. If there was a normal amount of deer here, like there is in Utah or Montana or Washington,
Yeah.
we'd never get any. We just get so many opportunities. But you see, I mean, I've gotten 2 this week, and it's been very difficult, you know.
And how many
And
times have you shot too?
yeah,
It's
like 8, you know.
yeah.
And the one doe that I got was luck, you know. It just
Mhm.
happened to catch her right, you know. It hit a twig, you know, in front of
Yeah.
me. So some things just come together, some things don't. But I think that's where, you know, I think people that are listening to this and they want to come on these adventures, you know, that's why we're starting M42, is to bring people, you know, snowboarding and mountain biking and surfing. We're going to do a Costa Rica trip next year to, you know, surfing one. I've never surfed.
Oh, you haven't?
Ever.
Wow.
And I know in my head, I'm like, dude, I don't want to go down there with 12 people and look like an idiot.
Mhm.
And it's like, no, come down and look like an idiot, because then you're going to get better and you're going to learn, and you're eventually you're going to stand up and you're going to catch that wave for 100 yards and you're going to be like, whoa.
Yeah. Then
When you get that
you're gonna be
deer,
hooked. Yeah.
you know, which you did. So, you know, you came out here, tell me through. So you came out here last year,
Mhm.
bow hunted, didn't connect.
Yeah. Didn't get anything. I think I maybe had 3 shots.
Oh, really?
the
You got a
whole
lot more
time.
this year, right?
Yeah, I don't know, like maybe 10.
That's,
or
I mean-
something. No, maybe not 10.
Yeah.
More than 3, right?
Which you're learning.
So-
You're learning, like,
Yeah.
take the shot now. Take it, you know, back last year, 3. That's how I was. The first year I came, I shot like
Yeah.
5 times the whole trip. The next time I shot 15.
Yeah.
You learn that
Yeah.
you have to shoot when they're running, because they never freaking stop.
Yeah.
Or, you know, so.
Yeah. So no deer last
Mhm.
year, just, you know, 3 shots, and then go back home in Washington, and I got a blacktail out there.
Oh, it was
right?
blacktail.
So
I knew you got a deer. I didn't know it
Yeah.
was blacktail. That's cool.
Yeah, it was a blacktail, nice little buck, and then we have a lot of rabbits out there, you know. So I've just been like picking off
Yeah.
rabbits, right? Which is so fun.
Which is amazing to us, because the rabbit's hard.
yeah,
you know?
yeah. I mean,
They're
know,
small.
but I connect with them, right?
Right.
Which is crazy. I'm
And
like,
you eat them.
dude,
You cook them up
yeah,
and eat them.
yeah.
I love all
Stew
that.
'em up.
Yeah.
It's great. And then come out here, you know, and take these shots. And so it's not like, again, going back to that negative cycle, it's not like I'm a bad hunter. I could take it and go, oh, well, maybe I am a bad hunter and this is stupid. What am I doing out here? Or you take the growth mindset perspective and go, oh, what are you learning? Slow it down. And it's humbling.
Yeah, to
You know
try
what
to
I'm
go
saying?
from step 0 to 10 is not realistic.
Right.
But to be able to acknowledge, I think that's why. I'm sure it's annoying to come out here with these guys, you know, that have hunted their whole lives, and
Yeah.
they're better. They're on step 10.
They've done the rest.
And so you're
right?
like, dang, you know, because it's like anything. Like, you go golfing. I go out with my buddies at golf.
Mhm.
I grab the little club, I see the ball, I swing,
Mhm.
and it hooks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, why the hell can he do it? And I think our human nature is we want it easy, we want it fast, and we think
Yeah.
it should just happen. I have a son who played tennis. Hey guys, let's step away from the conversation real quick, and I wanted to talk to you about a few things that M42 Adventures is offering this year. First, I'd like to talk about our retreats experiences here in southern Utah. They will be on a 50-acre ranch. Absolutely amazing property. And it's a place where you can come and learn from the experts in their fields, build friendships, and enhance your outdoor skills. We're going to have everything from fly fishing experiences, UTV experiences, horse riding, archery, survival experiences, hiking, outdoor cooking, firearms. It's absolutely amazing. We just had our last retreat a couple weeks ago. 33 people attended, and it was an absolute amazing event. If that sounds like something you'd want to come do, it's all inclusive, and I promise it will change you. So hopefully you can look into those dates. They are August 29th to September 1st and September 12th to September 15th. Look into that and see if those will work for you, and we'd love to see you out there. The other one is our Africa experiences. This fall, we have 2 Africa experiences coming up, August 5th to the 11th and August 11th to the 17th. We've actually sold, I think, 19 places to those events, so it is filling up. But if you'd like to come out, again, it's men, women, children. I'm taking my wife and my 3 little boys, age 12, 9, and 3. So it's family friendly. It should be an absolutely amazing experience as well. It's not just hunting. You can come and do the photo safari, helicopter ride, or go to an orphanage. I'm actually very excited about this one. So if that's something you'd like to come out and check out, I will be the headliner August 11th to the 17th, and Ryan Mickler will be the headliner August 5th to the 11th, and we'll be spending time with you during that week and getting to know each other. So I would love to see you out there. Again, those are some of the things we have coming up. If that's anything you'd be interested in, we're also going to start offering corporate retreats, family group retreats here in Southern Utah. If you'd like to come out and have one of these experiences with the horses, with the UTVs, with the firearms, with the archery, and bring your company, your family, or just a group, we can cater it to you as well. So that's something that new that we are going to start offering. We've got a couple of those in the works for this summer with some companies that want to bring their employees out and actually partner with M42 and have their own retreats. So just a few of the things we're offering. Again, we're excited about all this. If you'll continue to listen to the podcast, follow us on social media, share, follow, we sincerely appreciate that. All right, let's get back to this conversation. For like a couple weeks, and he's like, I don't want to play anymore. And I'm like, why? And he's like, I'm horrible at it. Mm-hmm. Like, you should be horrible at it. Mm-hmm. What makes you think you're going to start something and be good? That's a major problem with our society. Yeah. So I think, like you're saying, and it's natural, like you said, it's natural to feel that, but you have to stop. Yeah. And be like, well, this is my first time ever hunting. Yeah. I'm brand new and I'm on step 3.
Yeah. It's like, what kind of expectations am I putting on myself? You know, we talk about this all the time in marriage. It's like, you know, a lot of people want, like the slow cooked dinner, that, you know, roast and potatoes and all this stuff. It takes a long time to prepare, right? It's like a crock pot, right? Well, we want it microwave. Yeah. You know, it's like, well, why would we
Microwave's going to taste different than a crock pot.
Yeah, exactly.
It's life.
Exactly. Like the payoff is way different, you know? So it's like, okay, let's slow it down. And the funny thing about hunting is I like to take analogies from stuff and overlay it on other stuff, you know? There's so many lessons in hunting and, you know, golf or whatever you want. And they're like, oh, put it on my life, you know? Because I was up, you know, after I missed this morning, right? It was like a 50-yard shot, which is not easy, by the way. Missed it, and I'm, you know, like...
People hear 50 yards, and I think a lot of bow hunters, including myself, you know, before coming out to Molokai and hunting, thought 50 yards it's doable. Yeah. But they don't understand these animals. They're so, I mean, these things are from India. They're hunted by tigers.
Yeah, they're scared of tigers.
They're scared of everything out here. I mean, we see airplanes fly over and they scatter, you know. A mongoose runs out of the bushes, they scatter. They're just so on edge. They don't realize there's no tigers. Yeah. They still have all that instinct. So you shoot at 50 yards and they jump, they spin, they duck.
Yeah. I've seen videos of where like they dodge the arrow. Man, how, I mean, because, you know, 50 yards, I can hit that all day at home, you know. Just we shoot the target out here and we just thump. And then you shoot it at a target that's trying to live. Yeah. But here, like you have to draw. Like this morning,
that's the hardest part.
I held the draw for, I promise you, like just forever, because they were behind the bushes. I'm like, okay, I can do it. And they were there, but they were so skittish coming up to the water hole, you know. I'm like, my arm started shaking, you know. It's like, and then finally let it fly. But you know, I didn't even find it.
I was talking to Gina this morning, and I says, she says, how's it going? I says, I had some last night that I could, or yesterday morning, I says that I probably could have shot, but I says they came in and I says they were 20 yards. And she says, oh, 20 yards, that's easy. And I says, yeah, but if they come in before you can get, I says, they're too close. Yeah. She's like, what do you mean they're too close? I'm like, you have to grab the string and pull it back. And I'm like,
and position
all that
your body.
Movement, they're like looking at every little leaf blowing. Yeah. And she's like, oh, I didn't really think about that. She's like, I just thought they come in at 20 yards and you shoot. And I says, it's not like a gun where you pull your trigger finger. Right. You're having to do this huge gesture. And she's like, oh, that does sound hard. And I'm like, yeah, it is. It's frustrating.
And like, rarely do you see singles.
And very rare. They're always in
so you have like
8 or 10.
A dozen eyes on you, you know, and then they bark and then you're done.
And like you said, there's so many lessons. You know, you told me this morning, which I love this about you, where I think you're a deep thinker. Obviously, you know, I think people who are on the journey of self-help or and you know, counseling and all these things, they have to think, Gina always says, how does she say it? Like, what's the thing under the thing under the thing? Yeah. You know, and I think you do that a lot where you analyze life, and I do too as well, where I love to kind of see and you said, you know, you were out there in the dark and you looked up at the stars and and it was just, it's like, I think those are, you know, that's to me what life's about. You know, it's like, shooting the deer, that's fun, that's exciting, there's an adrenaline dump. But for me, it's just being out here and just slowing things down, getting away from your phone. We're staying in this little shack, right? And really just kind of, I mean, you know, we're going about as far back as we can
Right.
you know, in evolution, you know,
Yeah.
really, I
Yeah.
mean, we're out here with bows, group of men,
Yeah.
and
Just in camo, we're having to manage like smell and
yep,
sweat and all this stuff, you know,
yep,
so there's so many factors. But like going back, so you know, we getting up at 4 in the morning every day.
3:45 a.m. Huh.
Yeah. And I was the first one dropped off, so a little earlier. And like, you know, I just looked up and like all these stars, and of course we're in Hawaii, right, where the stars are amazing.
Mhm.
And I was telling you earlier, and I kind of tripped out for a minute in a good way. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm right here, dead silent, looking at these stars. There's nothing in the world that is holding me back right now, except for my own produced thoughts, you know?
Absolutely.
So, like I said, analogies like now take that thought and go, all right, go apply it to how I am with Melanie, my wife. Go apply it to how I am with my kids, with my other family members, with business, with anything. And then you kind of boil it down and go, oh, wait a minute. I literally can do anything.
We are our best and worst enemy.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think what happens to most of us in everyday life, you know, you're trying to, you know, you got to get up, get the kids ready, you know, provide, you know, I mean, our days are so full
Yeah.
of just everything, you know, and I think that's what I think I look the most forward to is coming out to this trip isn't hunting. It's slowing down and just being with my own thoughts. I mean, you go out here every morning and every night, we sit alone,
Yeah.
right? We don't
Yeah.
sit in pairs. You climb out there into the woods in the dark or wait until the dark, right? You watch
Yeah.
the sunset or the sunrise every day.
Mhm.
And man, what a good 3 or 4 hours
Yeah.
to really think about, you know, am I happy? You know, what do I need to change in myself? You know, I didn't go out this morning. You know, I hate getting up early, and I bailed on this morning. I just couldn't do it. And I called my wife. You know me. I travel with Gina for months and months at a time. We're together
Yeah.
all the time. And at the end of that, you're like, oh my hell, it's tough. It's hard on a
Yeah.
marriage to be together
Yeah.
24/7 for 9 months.
Yeah.
And I get out here for a week, and I'm like, babe, I miss you. You know, like, oh,
Yeah.
you know, I'm ready to come home and
It makes you think.
yeah, 100%. It resets, you
Yeah.
know, and I'm, you know, and then I'll get home, and after a few months, you'll get back
Mhm.
into those ruts and stuff. And so I think these, we were talking about it in there, you know, how, you know, when I call my wife, I'm grateful. And I think Melanie's the same way, where you call her and she says, how's it going? You know, I saw her post like the first day, and she says,
Oh, yeah.
you know, when you call your husband and ask, how's it going? And he sends you this picture, the
Yeah.
smile says it all.
Yeah.
And she, you know, I think that's the couples that get it.
Right.
Or like, she needs this, he needs that. You know, I like Gina, I'm like, go on a girls trip. You know,
Mhm.
go. You need to be away from me and the kids. And, you know, hopefully you miss me. You know,
Yeah.
hopefully you come back.
Yeah.
You know, but I think that's what's so healthy is when we do these types of things. It's
Yeah.
not even necessarily the bow hunting. The bow hunting is the vessel,
Yeah.
but it's not, you know, it's not the journey, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's me and Melanie talk about it all the time. It's like the most healthy relationships, marriages that we come across, and
Yeah,
you know,
this is your
obviously being a
job.
therapist
Yeah,
for
this-
15
yeah,
years,
you're the guy to
seen a
listen
bunch
to.
of them, right? It's like when both people have a certain level of health, then that reflects the health of the marriage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean like you got to be perfect all the
Right.
time, right? You know, there's been like really low spots that I've been in,
Absolutely.
you know, really low spots that Melanie's
and
been in.
hopefully she's healthy to pull you out of it, and you pull her out of it, vice
Yeah,
versa. And
yeah,
then when
like,
you're both
hey,
healthy, it's just let's conquer the world.
then we do stuff like this.
Absolutely.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So it's like relationships and marriages that have that like kind of mutual understanding,
Mhm.
you know, and people don't get all weird or butthurt, you know.
Mhm.
And there were times when, you know, early in our marriage, we were just
Oh, yeah,
dumb,
you're young.
immature. You
Yeah.
know, it's like, oh, wait a minute. I know Melanie knows that me doing stuff like this, guess who also benefits?
Right.
Her, the kids,
Absolutely.
our business,
Absolutely.
everything, right?
Absolutely.
And like you were
Yeah.
saying, yeah, you know, when hey Gina, go on a girls trip,
Yeah.
you know the value of that.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh well, I did this, and I'm gonna pay her back because she's gonna be weird.
Right.
It's not any of that. It's like, oh no, you understand the value of it, and then everybody kind of levels up.
Yeah, I had my episode that just actually came out today, Friday, was me and Gina. And I actually had a request a couple weeks ago. A buddy reached out and he says, you know, I hear you doing the M42 Adventures. You're starting a new business. You know, your life's been travel and all these, you know, starting these different businesses. He says, I would love to hear her side
Oh yeah.
on, you know, because he says, I know a lot of marriages, and I mentioned this on my podcast where I have a couple marriages that are failing or failed right now that are actually divorced in just the last 6 months, where they just weren't aligned.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't have to necessarily, you know, we kind of went into, and it's a cliche, but it's communication. And it's not, you know, when I dove into mine, it's not even necessarily just communication, but I use this story of, we were going to go out. Did you ever, I don't think you've met Matt Schmidtgall, but she's best friends with his wife. She met her through, I met Matt here in Hawaii, like 4 years ago on when I first got invited to this trip. He's a stud of a person, just a good dad, just my kind of people. I invited him to Alaska. Him and my wife and her met in Alaska, and they just hit it off, best friends.
Nice.
And she says, I want to go, you know, this, when I get home, I'm obviously going to be gone a couple of weeks. I says, we should go on a trip. And she says, let's go to Minnesota and see Kelly. And I says, well, I'd like to go to Vancouver. And she wants to go to Vancouver too, but she says, well, if it's Vancouver or Kelly, I'm going to pick Kelly. And I says, well, listen, you know, and that's the communication, right? That's usually where it kind of ends for most marriages is, do you want to go to Vancouver or do you want to go to Minnesota? And it's like, let's go to Minnesota. Okay, I'll go. I'm frustrated. Or let's go to, and it kind of ends there. And I says, well, listen, I'm going to Minnesota in October for a hunt, like an hour away from Kelly. Why don't you go then with me and hang out then, and we can do Vancouver now? And she's like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And I says, you know, I think that's the thing is, and again, like I said, you're the professional, but, you know, I think when you communicate how, not even just, hey, babe, I want to go to Hawaii and hunt. They hear you're leaving me, you know, you're going out there, I'm going to be going home and alone for a week, you're spending thousands of dollars that I didn't get. That's what they hear. But if you went and said, honey, I want to go to Hawaii for therapy and to clear my mind and to come back and, you know, miss you and want you more and want to be around the kids and not be so short and be ready to go back into business because I'm burned out right now, and all these details of what Hawaii is going to give you. Yeah. I think a lot more people would be successful in their marriages and in being able to come on trips like this.
Yeah. And as long as they're doing it in a reciprocal kind of way.
You need to do it too.
You know, 100%. It's like there's this saying, when couples or any relationships, but mainly couples, can celebrate differences and promote linkages. It's like a term from the psychology. And promoting linkages is like the stuff that you and Gina love, right? Like travel, family, all this stuff. So you're doing more of the things that you guys jive on. And then when you can celebrate, so Melanie would not like
neither would Gina.
You know what I'm saying?
Cockroaches, mice, it's dirty.
Like deer guts, you know, but I couldn't be happier if I'm sitting here holding a deer heart, you know, and just chilling, you know what I'm saying? So that is the like celebrating differences piece. Like she joined a 25K mastermind for women, right? And they do these women trips all the time. That's not a place for me, you know, and they like super fancy all this stuff. And it's like, hey, you go get like poured into, get filled up, you know.
Yeah,
chill,
that's a good point.
So that's celebrating differences, even though that's not my jam, that's hers.
I like that.
Don't
try to make them like what you like. Let them like what they like, and let them have that. I think that's a lot of, you know, and I have a controlling personality. I've just always been dominant. Yeah. You know, and that's the last few years. It's like, you know, Gina started her community, right? Revitalized Womanhood, and she's got her women in there, and she's been on this journey of self-help and reading books and all these different things. Yeah. And you know, I'm just watching her and I'm like, this is what fills her cup. Yeah. You know, and it's like, I might do it different. I have, you know, being a businessman and, you know, it's like, I would probably do this a little different. And it's like, let her do her. You know, she doesn't come out here and be like, you should bow hunt this way, or, you know, it's like, I'd be like, what are you talking about? You know? So I like that. I think that's actually a well, you know, it's funny. Anytime I talk to people who are experts in their field, I love, you know, I always tell my family, my brother specifically, I'm like, you need to read business books and read some, you know, all these books. And he's like, you know, I read this 500-page book. I didn't get much out of it. Yeah. And I'm like, but did you get 4 pages out of it? Right. You know,
because those 4 pages could be millions of dollars.
Like you just talked about your coach, you know, from a long time ago, right? Years ago. Yeah. And you're like, he said this. And I always also love that, you know, I read 4 Hour Work Week when I was like 34 or something like that. And that's what changed my life, of wanting to be able to not work 80 hours a week and
Yeah.
travel the world. I go read it now, it's going to be different. You know,
Yeah.
I've done that, and I, you know, it's like now that would there'd be something in there that would hit me differently. You know, and that's the other thing.
Because you're, you know, you're wiser, you're more experienced, you've
person.
learned, you failed more,
Absolutely, 100%.
right? And now you're like, oh, that thing that I didn't even notice, like that is what I
just
get
like
out of
you
that
said,
lifestyle.
the guy on the flight. You
Yeah.
know, if I hadn't invited you on a bow hunt, that would have
Yeah.
been a different conversation.
Yeah.
You guys probably would have talked about marriage counseling or something like that.
I probably wouldn't have talked.
Yeah,
so
you'd have
much,
just moved
you know,
on.
Like,
I'm gonna go
I put
sleep.
headphones
Yeah.
in and do work or read a book or something.
But
You know?
but because you were, it's like they always say, you know, you drive down the road and you're like, oh, maybe I'll buy a Ford Raptor,
Mm-hmm.
and then you drive down the road and you're like, there's one, there's one,
Yeah.
there's one.
You're
It's
gonna
like,
see 5
it's
of
like,
them.
dude, why am I seeing all these Ford Raptors? And it's like, because your
Yeah.
brain is looking for Ford Raptors.
Yeah.
When you start looking for, you know, bow hunters, you're gonna find them because
gonna
your
find 'em.
conversations will take you there. you
Yeah,
know?
like you attract those
Mhm.
conversations, you
Yeah.
know, and those conversations are attracted to you, and it's like kind of going back. It's like you got to be in the same room as stuff, you
Mhm.
know. It's like okay, you know, our coach was 5 figures, right?
Mhm.
And but because we said yes to that,
Mhm.
it opened up the door
Mhm.
to a very successful coaching
Mhm.
business, doing more stuff, like building stuff. You know what I'm saying?
I think people don't understand that, you know,
Right.
and you're in this field, you know, where they don't. So when I first got invited out here on this trip, Ryan just knew that I was a little bit of a hunter. We grew up together,
Mhm.
and he was looking to replace one of his buddies.
Mhm.
And I was actually headed to Alaska with my wife and kids, had it all booked, everything. And it was like 2 weeks before this trip.
Wow.
And Ryan called me and says, hey, man, I'm heading out to Hawaii to hunt axis deer with a bunch of dudes. Would you want to come? And I'm like, oh, man, I've got flights. I mean, literally, it was like
It was
booked and paid for. And I went to Gina and I says, listen, do you care if we move Alaska a week? It's going to cost us like a couple grand in loss there. And this trip's going to cost me a couple grand. But I says, I know who Ryan is. I know the people that he surround. This is not,
right.
you know, this is like his alumni, his
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
And I says, this is going to be a caliber of men that I think it would be good to go out there. It was never, I'm like, to hunt axis deer would be fun,
Yeah.
but not $5,000 or $6,000 for me to.
And it was never on your list.
It was
to be
never,
like,
it was never on my bucket list. I was just
Mhm.
like, you know, I'm like, there's deer in Hawaii. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I look at that, it cost me $5,000, you know, the whole deal, probably 5 or
Mhm.
6 grand. And now I'm in business with Ryan. He's
Right.
an owner of M42 Adventures.
Mhm.
I'm here recording on his equipment. That's
Right.
his camera, you know. He's over here. He helped me set it up because I'm new to this. And all these, you know, meeting you and, you know, you were on
Yeah.
Gina's podcast and you're out here because of that. If I wouldn't have gone
Yeah.
on that trip, you may not be in this chair,
Yeah.
which is wild.
Isn't that crazy?
And that's what I
Like,
tell people. I'm like,
Mhm.
you know, you don't, you think and I'm the same way. You know me, I'm one of the most frugal people on earth.
Yeah.
The one thing that I'm good about is I don't have a hard time spending money on experiences.
Right.
You know, you see me out here, I'm in, you know, $20 camo, literally,
Mhm.
you know. My boots are like 7 years old. My bow's 17 years old. It's like, I don't
Yeah.
care about that shit. And I have the money to buy whatever I want. I just don't care about that as long as I'm here on the deck. And as
Right.
long as I'm here, you know, I'm on the trip to, you know, Africa or whatever it is, you know. So
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that's a very good point where, you know, I'm sure with marriage counseling, you get that where it's like, oh, I got to spend all this money. And it's like, dude, if it
Mhm.
saves your marriage,
Yeah. Are you
are
kidding?
you
Like
kidding?
we get so
What's
many
half your
calls.
stuff worth?
Yeah, I know
Literally.
exactly. What's a divorce
Yeah.
lawyer cost? You know,
Yeah,
all this stuff,
yeah.
and it's like we get so many calls of people who, you know, oh man, you know, they say yes to everything. Oh yes, I would love more communication, more sex,
Mhm.
more relationship, more best friend stuff.
Mhm.
You know, get back to, you know, how we were.
Mhm.
All this stuff, both of them. Yes, yes, yes,
Mhm.
yes, yes. And then we go,
Here's the price.
okay,
Here's the cost.
here's the price. You know, it's 12K
Mhm.
for 90
Yeah.
days, and you know it can be done in installments or
Yeah.
whatnot. And like, if you think about it, 12K to save your marriage, Rick,
Absolutely.
to
Yeah.
Gina, to
Absolutely.
Melanie, or anything, it's like, oh yeah, I'm not even gonna think twice
Right.
about that. But then we get in our minds and go, oh well, I can't, because we often think so short-sighted.
Mhm.
You know, I can't because of
Mhm.
this or that or whatever. It's like, dude,
Figure it out.
everything is figure
It
outable.
is.
Everything,
100%.
right? Like when we did coaching a long time ago, like I sold my truck.
Mhm.
You think I wanted to sell my truck that I loved? No, it's like, hey, I'll get in the truck, right? But because
you're still married, because I know your story. I mean, you guys were on the ropes.
Oh,
you know,
dude,
literally, she had you on the ropes punching you.
She gave me a black eye,
so,
which is not fun.
And you sold your truck. Yeah, I'm sure you missed his Land Cruiser. You told me, right?
Yeah.
You miss it, but it's like, I'm married and I'm happy, and it's like,
I'm married. What? And now we have 3 kids, and now we have a private business, and now we're sitting here. You know, it's like, dude, I mean, just this is my thing too. Because I have lived it, I really like to kind of preach about it. You know, same thing. You're just like, you know, I just bankrupt, lost everything, did this, and now I have this
100%.
life because I said yes to this and yes to that, and no to certain things too. It's like, you guys, like, if you get a chance to like go on a trip like to Africa, like I was telling Melanie about it, you know, because you invited me. I'm like just drooling. I'm like, and we're moving, so you know I can't on this time. But it's like,
next year,
sick would that be? Dude?
Yeah,
like,
I'm so excited.
Just amazing, you know, and like take the kids, and we love to travel too. Not as well traveled as you guys, you know, but we're taking our kids to Europe and stuff like that. It's like, oh,
well, and it's in your, I know it's in your future, right? It's in your plans, and that's fine. Like, doesn't have to be now. You're making the choices to do it later, and that's the and you too, because the people that you're going to Florida, you're moving to Florida here soon. And that was a client.
Oh, that okay. Yeah,
like so that's an unbelievable story that you told me just yesterday or the day before. I'm like, so what's up? You're like, I'm moving to Florida. Gina told me. She's like, have they moved yet? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't think so. And she's like, they're moving.
In a couple of months.
And so I asked you about that, and you're like, this was one of your clients, right?
One of our clients, they did marriage coaching with us. We were able to turn their stuff around. They're in a great spot now. And then Melanie, my wife, is a 49% owner of a business in Florida. You know, and then I'm doing a startup down there too. You know, so like we're
and that's what I encourage people. You know, we're doing these adventures in Utah, right, with my stuff, and then these hunts. You know, whatever. And it's like I think that's the key is when I come out to these things with people, it's just my natural, it's just the way you see me. Like
dude, you talk to everybody.
But that's what I think you need to do is when you are either you have a coach or you're going to be a coach, you know, is have these conversations because you never know where it can lead. You know, that's what's the amazing thing to me about life is if you're open and receptive and you build these relationships, you never, ever could have planned what is happening in your life. This is a client. He's paying me money to save his marriage. How long ago was that?
November.
So 7 months ago? 7 months ago, you never thought I'm going to be in Florida in a year.
Florida was not on our radar. Never. Like,
and that's what's beautiful. You know, you meet these people and if you're, you know, if you're like-minded and good people, you know, there's some people that I come out here and I'm like, that's not my guy, you know, it's just, he's nice, but it's just,
he's cool, but
it's just not my, I'm not going to go to business with him. And then you have these other people where you have these deep conversations and it's like, whoa, hey, what's up? And then you know, and that's what I love about you and Melanie is you sell the house, you take your kids and you move across the country. Doesn't get much further than that.
I know.
And that's what I think is beautiful about you guys is you're doers, not sayers, you know. And you know, I'm getting into the financial coaching, life coaching deal, right? And it's just because I enjoy it. You know, if I can help somebody, then I want to. But I think that's what happens a lot of times is you have these people who say, you know, I'm going to teach you about finances. And I'm like, what's your finances? And they're like, well, I'm broke, you know, and it's like, you're trying to make money coaching. You know, and it's like, that's where, you know, it's like, I love seeing how you guys have, and obviously we all have our baggage and our, you know, stuff like that. I'm not saying that we're all perfect, but I love that you guys do, you know, it's like if I was ever going to have a coach, and I also like the coaches that have been there and done that, you know, it's like, I don't want the one that has the perfect marriage forever. That's great, but they can't really relate to being punched in the face and being on the ropes.
That's the whole reason we created a podcast, because like we went through the shit, right? Like, okay, we're not going to get a divorce. We literally hate each other right now. And we were looking for all these resources, podcasts, books, this and that, and nothing out there looked like, you know, I mean, of course, no one was saying like, hey, I hate my husband. I just punched him in the face. I don't want to divorce because we have kids.
They're all being...
They're putting their best foot forward,
my marriage
you know?
is great.
Yeah.
He got a black eye. He fell down the stairs.
But it's like, you know, seeing a hunter who like, has the perfect shot every single time. It's like, I don't know if that's true.
It's not. It is not. And that's what I think people need to realize is, whoever comes out on these adventures, we're very, very sympathetic. And we've all started. Yeah. It's like, the next person that comes out, when you come out next year and there's a new guy. Yeah. It's like, dude, I'm nervous, the Kip, right? Yeah. Kip's out here. This is his first bow hunt ever. Yeah. And I'm sure you're talking to him saying, hey man, like don't stress. Like these guys are cool. They're not going to, we tease each other, everybody, a little bit, just in good fun. But it's like, I respect Seth. I respect Kip. I love what they're doing. I want them to get a deer. I will do everything in our power. We've been trying to get you on water more. It's like, hey, let's try to get you over to this water or that water to try to increase your chances. Yeah. And I think that's what people need to realize. If you find the right people, they want you to succeed.
They're rooting for you, right?
Yeah. If they're not, get them out of your life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're the sum of the 5 people you hang out with the most, right?
100%.
So if I believe that statement to be true, I want to hang out with dudes like you and Ryan and others who are like doing
find
stuff,
the ones that if you want to travel the world, find the guy who's traveled the world. If you want the guy who's rich, find the rich guy. Don't get advice from, we were talking in there earlier and it's like, I have so many people my whole life that have been like, oh, you can't, you travel now when you're single. Wait till you get married. Right. When I got married, I traveled more than when I was single. Oh, wait till you have kids. I traveled more when I had my first kid than when my third kid kid has been to 33 countries, lost.
That's crazy.
Yeah. In he's 3 years old.
Man.
And it's like people are like, how do you do it? I'm like, we just do it.
You just go.
You
learn.
We've done it. We know what rental car to get. We know how to pack. We know how to make it better because we've done it for so long. So don't, the people, I have people all the time that are like, you can't do that. And I'm like, how many countries have you been to? Oh, we went to Mexico. I'm like, well, why am I talking to you? Right. What do you know? And it's like, well, I've done cabinets for 30 years. It's like, talk to me about that. Right. Because I'll listen on that, but don't talk to me about world travel. Yeah.
And especially don't tell me what I can't do if you haven't done
100%.
It. Like, no, that's bad.
And like you said, I like these conversations out here. I have a lot of friends that I sit around with and we do that here too, but we get into some deep, marriage conversations with you or these financial conversations or whatever it is. And that's like you're saying, the sum of the 5 people. Yeah. If this guy's a world traveler and this guy's got a successful marriage podcast and this guy's got a men's group, it's like our conversations are going to bounce around those things. I'm excited about travel. You're excited about marriage and Ryan's excited about men and it's like, that's going to be a lot in our conversations. Yeah. And that's what I love.
And think about it. You're getting the best of all the stuff that I know. Yeah. I'm getting the highlights. 15 years
cheat codes.
Right. I love it. Or financial stuff is like, oh, well, okay, he's been in the game for I don't know, 25 years. Let me ask
Absolutely.
Rick.
You've called me just the other day, right? And said, hey, I have a couple questions on this. And
should we sell the house? Should we rent? What do you think?
Yeah, and I gave you some scenarios. Yeah. And it's like, here you go.
And we're actually doing that too.
Yeah.
We're going to sell the house and,
I love that.
Hey, takes care of some stuff and all right.
And that's that little cheat code. It's like, I'm going to call you and be like, dude, my wife just did this. I'm frustrated. And you'll be like, hey, I've seen this before. Yeah. I've been doing this 20 years. Hey, try this, Rick. Go get some flowers. Come back. Yeah. It's like, bro,
hang out.
You saved it. I was going to go over there and yell more, or whatever it is, and it's like, it's.
Or take advice from some dude, on the internet. Yeah. Been married 3 years or something. Like,
you got to find, that's what I think is you got to find the people that are real. And that's tough. Right. A lot of people in this world and day and age now, they rent the Lamborghini, take a picture with it, and they're like, I'm successful. And it's like, you got that on Turo, bro. Right. So really do your due diligence, find these people, research them, look deep into them, and then it can change your life. It's crazy.
It's like going back to M42, it's like, okay, who's running it?
Right.
You, an experienced hunter, and your partner, experienced hunter, who does men's stuff, who knows how to produce this experience. It's like, okay, we're going to set you up here and here's what you need to pack. So it's not like, oh, I'm a brand new and nobody knows anything about it. Like you've been to Costa Rica, I don't know how many times, but you know the spots, you know the people down there because you said, yes, you met some dudes and now you're.
Well, and I have connections, like I want this to, M42 is coming to St. George or to New Harmony to a ranch and we're going to do all the adventures, right? But at night we have this big venue, a big barn. Yeah. And we're going to talk to them about finances and all the things that we all need, right? You need your finances, you need your health, you need a good relationship, whether it's your own or with somebody. Yeah. And that's where all these people that I'm meeting, including you, it's like, we're going to bring you guys out
Yeah.
and have you come and be a headliner.
Yeah.
And then it's like, hey, come out to this event. We're going to shoot guns. We're going to ride side by sides.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I was so jealous. I couldn't come to the first meetup that you guys had. Like side by side.
Dude, it was a blast.
Stuff. I'm
yeah.
like, oh my God.
But that's what we want to have, and have these headliners that come out. And then it's like, dude, you get to spend not even just helping, not even trying to learn these fun things of shooting a bow or catching a fish with a fly pole, but you get to have these deep conversations. That's where I think the real stuff happens. You know, it's like you can come to Hawaii and have a shitty time hunting with a bunch of good dudes if you're not right mentally. Yeah. You know, there's been several times where I'm fighting with Gina and I'm like, they're like, let's go to the beach. And I'm like, I don't want to go to the beach. The sky's not blue today. It may look like it's blue to you, but I'm sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think that's a huge key to life, is that emotional. And that's what we do a lot here, right? We have guys here that come and they're going through problems, and you'll go for a walk with them. And it's like, dude, you know, what's up? You know,
what's going on?
And I'm the same way. You know, I don't have the marriage, you know, I'm in 18 years into a marriage. I'm doing good at it.
So you got some experience.
But I haven't read all the books. I haven't done all the training that you have. But the financial side, I feel sound on. You know, I feel like I can help most people. So yeah, man, I love it, dude. I think it's awesome. You know, getting up to our time here, but what I wanted to ask you so do you love bow hunting? Is it captured you, or do you like it more than gun hunting, or is it just different? It's frustrating, right?
It can't be more frustrating, you know, but in that I'm like, okay, what lesson can I learn here, you know? Like I like rifle hunting for sure. Bow hunting is it's just a different challenge all around, you know, but like I said, I got my first archery deer, you know, and like, boom, when that thing thumped that, I'm like, okay,
dude, there's nothing
awesome.
like it.
Yeah. It's just like, you know, so I really
feeding your family. I mean, that's the other thing people don't realize. It's like you go home and you put meat on the table that you didn't buy at the grocery store.
Right.
You feel like a man.
Oh, dude, you respect it so much. Like you care about it. And I know this probably isn't true, but it's like it tastes better.
It does.
You know, it's like, oh, this is more healthy for my body, you know? And that might just be in your mind.
I came home, back in the day, I don't remember, a year or two ago, my wife was loading up her parents with a cooler of meat. Yeah. A lot of fish from Alaska and all these different things. And the fish I'm okay with, you know, but she's loading up some Axis. I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm giving them some meat. And I'm like, no. This is a hard one to get. I'm like, you can give them some of the beef. You can give them some of the halibut. Yeah. This stays. This is.
I hiked 6 miles for that thing. You don't know what it took.
You have no idea what this is to get, you know, so it's definitely special. I eat that. I go home and I eat it for an entire year. Yeah. And not only does it taste better, but it reminds me, you know, it's like, oh, that was a great trip. I had fun. We laughed about this. Yeah. You know, you don't get that from a package of hamburger you bought at the store. You know? Yeah. So
yeah, absolutely.
It gets deeper.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm kind of equal, you know, archery and just because I haven't gotten an Axis doesn't mean that I'm gonna like stop.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
archery
hopefully you'll come back next year. You know,
yeah,
like I said, you're one of the
definitely.
OGs. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. So you know, it's just like I said, there's so many analogies and stuff. It's like, I didn't get one. Okay, I'm not.
It's not over. You got tonight.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, like just keep at it, man. Persistence, you know. And it's like, I mean, you're out here anyway. So yeah,
I think everybody who's intimidated by it, I think it comes from obviously just lack of knowledge. Yeah, like, go find that person, you know, call the bow store, go down, get a bow, reach out to these communities, you know, M42 Adventures. We got lots of stuff planned. We're going to do, again, Hawaii Access next year, you know, and jump on a hunt or an event, or just go to the range, put one in your backyard. You know, it's like, you don't even have to go put it in your backyard and do some reps and just.
Dude, I look forward to like shooting, therapy. You know, like after I get home, it's like, hey, you know,
go out there.
Kids are doing stuff. I'm sling, you know, dozen arrows or whatnot. Like, all right, just get it reps.
It's just like going out and hitting the balls at the range, right? It's just something to do. Yeah. So yeah, man, I appreciate you coming out. I appreciate you, you know, being a friend. I know I appreciate you being a friend to Gina. Where can people find you? So
so you can go to anatomyofus.com. You'll find all of our resources. We have a bunch of free resources on there: communication, parenting, sex, intimacy, all that stuff, you know. We can check out the high performance marriage coaching, you know, if we turn marriages around.
I love it.
You know, as long as people have a growth mindset about it, like, okay, I'm here to change stuff. Those are the clients. Like, you know, sometimes clients come in and pay the money, you know, but they're kind of just like half-assed stuff.
It's like a gym membership.
Yeah,
if
you don't
buy a gym membership, you're not gonna have six pack. You
Yeah,
got to do the work.
you got to,
And that's what we said. So many people read the books, they go to the seminars, and it's like, you have to apply it. You have to go and do sit-ups if you want a six pack. You have to eat right. And that's, I think, that's a huge, just problem with our society is we want this perfect marriage because we show up. And it's like, well, no, you gotta hold their hand. You gotta, whatever that woman, we were talking with Michael here, who also has a podcast, and he was saying I was saying how my wife is words of affirmation, and he's like, my wife's not that. She's acts of kindness or acts of service.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's like you said, you gotta find out what the problem is, and I think that's where, I've never been through your course, and hopefully I don't have to, but if I do, I will call you.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm sure you just break it down to the principles of what it's like, here's your diet, here's, here's the calories in, calories out, and this will get you a six pack.
Yeah.
And if they don't do it, that's
here's
on
what
them.
you do. Yeah. Here's the instructions. Like showing up is that's like step one.
Exactly.
Like, okay, I get a ticket, I buy a bow, I come out here. But if I never leave the house.
Right. You got to get out there. You got to get in the blind. You got to get dirty. You got to and
swing some arrows, right?
Yeah.
You got to get in it, right? So yeah.
And they're all going to land. Again.
Yeah.
You might go to your wife and be like, hey, wife, I'm going to wash the dishes. And she might be like, I don't give a shit. You're still an asshole. Yeah. It's like, okay, well, you don't stop. That arrow didn't hit.
That arrow didn't
hit. Now you got to
reload. So many dudes out there.
It's
like
pride.
I tell guys all the time, I'm like,
I'm the same way. I get prideful, and it's like, so
do that for 3 months is what I tell them. Wash the dishes, no complaining 3 months, and then
that's a good point because again, we think we'll shoot one arrow and it's going to hit and it's going to be a kill, and it's like, no, go wash the dishes for 3 months because they know what we're doing. They're not stupid. The women aren't stupid. They're like, well, you're washing dishes today to try to make me happy right now. But if you do it for 6 months,
you're like, oh, he's changed.
It's like, oh, this isn't just an app.
Right.
This is,
I can trust that or start to rebuild trust, right? Yeah, but people can go anatomyofus.com, Anatomy of Us on Instagram. My Instagram is Seth Studley, Studley on Instagram. But just,
I love it. I love it. And you're going to Florida.
Yeah, I think August 1st.
And that's a new venture, or is that part of this?
It's part of this. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. New venture. We're doing a startup. She's a business owner down there in a media company. So
I love it. Because you're wearing the shirt. What's the shirt you've been wearing?
So Thrive Media is her business, right? But I'm doing a new startup.
Business.
That's Melanie's business. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, but I'm doing a thriving project, and it's kind of stuff like this. I mean, we're not doing hunting, but we're taking people. It's like, okay, how can you thrive in every area? We call it bio, psycho, social, spiritual, right? So biology, diet, exercise, sleep, all this stuff. Social, your friends, what do you listen to? What are you reading, right? Biosocial, psycho, your psychology, what's your mindset? What are you thinking, Some people with depression, anxiety. Okay, let's get that squared up. And then spirituality, right? No matter what your belief is, it's like, okay, we're all spiritual in some way, right? It's like, okay, you look at the stars, whatever. Let's talk about that. Let's dive in. And when you can excel in all those 4 areas, boom, you're on fire. Yeah. So our goal is to lift people up into that and build a community around it, so where everybody's thriving.
I love it.
In all areas.
I love it.
Yeah. So
let's go. We're gonna go grab a poke bowl. Head to town, grab a poke bowl, and then go get back in the stand. Last night, bro.
Last night, we're gonna
Appreciate
get one.
It, brother.
So,
Thanks for coming, man.
Thanks, Rick.
Yeah, dude. Clap.